Welcome to the Personal Podcast, the podcast where I get to meet the real person behind the professional. Today on the show, I'm meeting Chris Cook. Chris is a 2-time Olympian, associate consultant, non-executive director, and also a keynote speaker. And as always, I'm your host, Charlotte Nichols. Chris, how did it feel standing on the blocks, ready to dive into your first race in the Olympics?
I have to really cast my mind back now. So that was 2004. That was Athens Olympic Games, and I'd qualified for the 200 breaststroke. Wasn't really my event, if I'm being honest. I was more suited to more of a sprint, so 1500. But that's the one that I made the Olympics for. So, I was all in. And I've got a little bit of a story. So the night before I was due to race, often what happens is when you join the team, you're not always with your coach. So you can take your coach along, but your coach may not be on the team as such. Okay. They'll be there and about, and you can kind of liaise with them and go and see them now and again, but they're not on poolside with you. Mm-hmm. All sorts to do with kind of tickets and, team sizes and all of that. It's quite political as well. So I didn't have my coach with us, which does make a difference. It does make a difference when you've got your coach there with you, because everything seems a little bit more normal and you can look for the similarities. And so we were in regular text conversation, or we'd pick up the phone to each other and chat a lot. And the night beforehand, it's called Ian Oliver, or his nickname's Jock, we called him Jock, sent me a text saying, the second your fingertips hit that water, you'll be able to call yourself an Olympian forever. And I remember staring at the message, just thinking, oh my God, it's not every day you get a message like that.
No.
And I just thought, do you know what? That's what I've been working for. I've been working for something that has arrived. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing this. And I always remember going out to the crowds, and you get 15 seconds to wave to the audience and that sort of thing, and just thought, how did I get here? I'm only a little lad from Shields, South Shields. There's nothing exceptional about us. I'm not some 10-foot tall freak. I didn't have a straight route there. I had quite an unusual route there, and it's quite surreal. It's quite surreal, quite normal in many respects, but then quite surreal in others. But what an experience it was, yeah.
Yeah, just that message alone, that's so beautiful.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It makes me kind of feel emotional. I'm not even the one receiving it or about to dive into the pool, but that's really special. And things like that, they really make a difference, don't they?
Yeah.
Messages, words, they're so powerful.
They change your life. They can change your life. They can make you think in a very different way in an instant, which is remarkable in itself, isn't it?
Absolutely. And do you feel that you could have achieved more in your swimming career, or do you feel you really fulfilled your potential?
I wanted more.
Okay.
I left empty-handed. I felt like I lost a tenner and found a fiver when I left. I felt like I had this wonderful experience, but I wanted something else. I wanted a medal around my neck. However, it was about 3 years after I finished at the Olympics. I went through a really tough time, kind of behind the scenes, but there's 3 years where I was in emotional free fall, is the best way I can describe it. There was almost an unravelling of the grief of losing swimming. There was this massive hole, this massive void. I would meet people at parties and, occasions, and family members, and they'd go, what is he doing now? And I couldn't answer it. And I guess now I can call it a loss of identity, but at the time I just didn't know what it was. No one was talking about it. And it became a really difficult time of my life. Mm-hmm. Getting beyond that was probably one of the biggest challenges I've ever had. But it was 3 years in that I was having a conversation, and someone had said, what do you think your 9-year-old you would have said to you? Because they'd just heard my story. I share my story on stage, and I talk about the 9-year-old me and how that 9-year-old me wanted this goal, this dream that was way bigger than me, and I had nobody around me to gauge how to do it.
Yeah.
There's this massive gap between where I was and where I wanted to be. And someone had said, how would that 9-year-old you react if you said you went to 2 Olympic Games, you went to an Olympic final, you collected medals for your country along the way? And it really affected us in such a profound way, that question, because I couldn't answer it. But the real answer inside was, they'd be on the ceiling, they'd be so elated that I'd done this. Mm-hmm. And that was the turning point. It was that one conversation that I got. And I remember getting in the car driving home from Kent at the time thinking, yeah, that's what I've needed. It was almost like a mini full stop at the end of the career.
Okay, yeah. But you're young inner child to feel proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment, there's nothing I could have done different. So to answer your question, I wasn't happy with the result, but I was happy with the performance.
Yeah.
There's nothing more I could have done with the performance. And that was my fate. That was my journey. But I wanted more. I think if I won a gold medal, I'd have wanted it in a world record.
Yes.
I would have wanted 2 or 3. I think that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to work with that.
I think it's human nature in everything that we do, not just sports. You know, we always want
agreed.
more. We always want to push ourselves to the next level.
Yeah.
And you know, as cheesy as it is about that journey, the performance, doing the best you could have done in the moment.
It is.
But it's hard telling yourself that.
And being proud of it as well. You know, being British, it's not a good thing to be proud of yourself, is it?
No.
Or get too big for your boots. All these things we say that are throwaway comments, but actually, I think in our psyche, they hold us back from truly being ourselves.
Yeah.
So that moment was a real moment where I thought, yeah, I can be proud of myself. Like, it's okay to say I did that and I'm proud, even though I haven't got something that I absolutely wanted.
Yeah, you still got a lot of what a lot of people dream of, you know.
True.
Out of all of your medals, which one are you most proud of? And I'm sure there's a lot of medals.
There is, yeah. There's a lot that got away. There I am again. There is a lot that got away. Which one am I most proud of? There's 2 in particular, and one's probably going to interest you and shock you. So there was the one that I really wanted was the 100 meters breaststroke at the Commonwealth Games. That was my first kind of stand up into lane 4. For anybody listening, lane number 4 in swimming is the fastest lane. So when you qualify into a final or a semi-final, everybody is chasing you. You are the person to beat. Yeah. So I'd qualified in first position at the Commonwealth Games in 2006. And sleeping on that is quite an experience. Let me just say, you know, going in first with a Commonwealth Games record, nobody had been faster than that at the Commonwealth Games. And, you know, when they announce you to the crowd, they announce you as the fastest qualifier and all those sorts of things. So to come out first and win the gold medal with all of that happening, I felt was a real milestone, turning point. So that was my favorite international medal. But my favorite, it wasn't even a medal, it was a placard, but it was kind of given for a reason. So I used to swim for the Cubs when I was a kid, the Cub Scouts. And it was a brilliant little group in South Shields. And we went to this swim meet, gets in the door, and there's about 30 of us all piled in this bus, and gets there, and there's hundreds of people there. It's a real big occasion. There's other scouts and cub leaders there and stuff. And just as we walked in the door, there was about 30 of us, about 20 something of them decided to say to the leader, oh, we can't swim, and started having this meltdown. Tears were happening. So between me and maybe 2 or 3 other people, we had to swim everyone's events. So we were swimming, getting out, walking around. Next whistle would go, we bang straight off again. And I can't remember winning much. I think I got a couple of bronze medals, but I can't remember ever swimming that many races in my entire life in one day. And at the very end, the cub leader gave us this placard, and it was for just courage and commitment. And there was words that were said as they were reading it out. They said, oh, these guys, and we stood up and received the award. These young boys got in and raced everyone's races and showed that actually courage comes before anything else. Everybody wants confidence. And it was like, I was really young at the time. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like courage is the thing that gets you in the room. It's confidence that you take out of the room.
So true.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And like little things like that as a kid, just collecting them on the way, just popping them in my back pocket, just keeping them.
It's crazy that you remembered.
Yeah, I remember it. And I remember standing up, getting it and getting the award, and it was put in the South Shields Gazette and stuff like that. And it was,
How old were you at the time?
I must have been 11. Because I was starting to race then. I was starting to train. Just little bits, not amazingly. And like I said, it wasn't the most startling set of performances. Yeah. It was just what it meant in the moment.
That's
so profound.
I do think it's quite unusual that you remembered things like that from so long ago, especially I think it's quite a very wise statement to make that.
If it hits me emotionally, I remember it.
Okay, yes, they often say that.
If it hits me emotionally, I remember. It's almost like it's anchored.
Yeah.
I can remember conversations happening with my granddad when I was like 6, 8, things like that, go way back. Then other things in my life, complete blank. People will come up and say, do you remember that? And I'm like, no, I wasn't there. They were like, you were.
Yeah. But you remember the way someone made you feel.
Yeah. Maya Angelou.
What they just say, it has to make you feel emotion.
Absolutely.
We talk a lot about talent versus mindset, often in sport. which one of those do you think was more important in getting you to the Olympics?
Good question. I think you've got to have a mixture of both. I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think it's nurture versus nature. I think you've got to have both of them.
Yeah.
For me, the character that I am, it's the nurture. You know, it was being with coaches like Ken Nesworthy, Penny Wilkinson, Ian Oliver, you know, and when I reached the international level, I still kept in contact with those people. They were still part of the journey. They were the ones who got me there, even though they weren't training me at the time. They were the ones who got me there.
Yes.
So for me, I think it's the nurture side. I think there's a lot there's so much you can get when you're in the right team with the right people. There's so much you can achieve, so much you can become. And it's the having people around you to help you unbecome as well, because how much shit do we collect along the way? How much stuff do we take along with the journey with us that doesn't need to go? So having people who can point that out and start to shed that, it's the unbecoming that can often be the hardest thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, someone on this podcast once mentioned lightening their emotional backpack.
Cool.
And I think that's such a good phrase because you really do carry it, don't you?
Yeah.
And we've talked before about how you simplified the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is really important.
It is. And someone's explained it to me. It was my sports psychologist, Simon Hart. He said, you know, if you've got the handbrake on, you know, let's find out where that handbrake is and take the handbrake off. Let's find where the resistance is. And then when we started working on that, he said, you know, the ultimate is realizing there was never a handbrake in the first place. And it's like really messes with your head, but actually really gets you to think about it in a slightly different way.
Yeah, because we place the limitations on us often.
And I still do.
Yeah. And what were the kind of points of resistance for you that were kind of stopping you from getting to that ultimate level that you achieved?
I think just the small-minded thinking, you know, I'm only often starts, I am only a.
You've said that already, actually, haven't you?
There you go. I'm only a little lad from South Shields. You know, I wasn't tall enough. So I would meet people who would go, oh, do you not wish you were taller? You know, you're in a big sport. And swimming is, you know it well enough.
Yeah.
You know, some of those swimmers are huge. But actually, I think it's about playing to the advantage. I remember going out to Australia to train with a group of swimmers, really great, and all the guys were huge, 6'4" plus. I remember getting in there, and I looked like the bag carrier, if I'm being honest with you. And we'd train together, and I'd be toe to toe with them. You know, there's some things I was faster on, some things they were faster on, and we got into the gym one day, and at the Australian Institute of Sport, they've got everything. They have their own pool, so you could go anytime. I remember we got there at 3:00 in the morning, none of us could sleep. So they opened up the pool and we set the pool up at 3:00 in the morning.
Wow, yeah.
I mean,
it would never happen here.
No chance. The taxpayer gets first, we get second. So we'd gone in there and we'd gone into the gym and we were lifting weights. And I'd noticed one of the guys, so he was about 110 kilograms in weight, big, tall guy. Yeah. And I was 76.5 at the time, kilograms. So a massive difference in weight. But we were pulling really similar weights. We were doing power cleans and I was only about 5K behind. I was thinking, that's really interesting. He's like twice the height of me, twice the size, all this. And actually he's the perfectly designed swimmer, but I'm the one pulling less weight. And I always remember from that point onwards, I thought, this is a game of power to weight ratio. That's what this game is. Yes, it's a game of levers. So if your levers are long enough, they'll work better than the ones that are short. I get that. But actually I was pulling 30, 40 kilograms less than him.
Yes.
So it's always, for me, the message there is always about looking for the advantage. Don't get stuck in the disadvantage. People are going to tell you that. They're going to feed you that. You'll feed it. You'll fuel it. But actually, if you pause and just ask yourself, okay, well, where's my advantage here? Often you'll see it. So I would go into races with that under my belt, just thinking, you've got to pull that through the water. I don't. Totally different way of looking at it.
So good. Yeah. Reframing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once you know that, you can apply that to anything in life.
So true.
It's so powerful. Speaking of huge swimmers, did you ever swim against Michael Phelps?
I did, yes. A few times. He wasn't particularly a breaststroke specialist, as you know, but he did a great job in the medleys. Phenomenal job. So yeah, I would often, on off season, we'd see people like that. We'd rub shoulders in California if you go training camps and racing. So to race alongside people like that who become world-renowned heroes, and you see them going from, you know, kind of also ran to then just being phenomenal. It's just incredible. I mean, he was in an Olympic final at the age of 15. We knew he was going to be special. Such an inspiration for the sport, and actually put the sport on the map, because now swimming had this ultimate hero who was just phenomenal. He's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, kind of like you seem to get them every so often in swimming, don't you? Like Ian Thorpe before him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our version is Adam Peaty. Look what he's done. He's completely transformed the event, the stroke. He's been such a champion of change in so many different ways. What he's doing now with his business, it's really admirable. You know, you sit on the sidelines and watch it. It's great. I've loved the last 10, 15 years watching British swimming change. It's now quite XGB.
Yes.
Watching it change and morph, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it definitely has, that journey that they go on. I was so gutted when he didn't get this third gold, though.
Yeah, I know.
Again, he kind of spoke openly about it being the journey, and he was still, whether or not he was, but openly he spoke about how he was still very proud of himself, and he absolutely should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When a silver medal becomes a failure, that's a...
I know. It says it all, doesn't it?
Doesn't it just?
Yeah. And then there's a lot of talk at the minute about the enhanced games. I just wonder what your thoughts are around that.
I've got real mixed feelings on it. You know, I'm not one of those people who tends to dive in straight away and just make a comment. I like to kind of do my research.
Yeah.
So I've done a bit of my research to the best of my understanding of it, and it saddens me. The first thing that saddens me is the hidden problem, and that is why it exists in the first place. It exists in the first place because the swimmers, I'm talking only about the swimmers who are there now at the Olympics, who are in a clean sport, aren't being supported enough. So the bright lights of money and fame and all those other things, it's really easy to entice it over to an enhanced games, isn't it? So for me, that's the real problem, is we need to fix that first. We've got a systemic problem internationally, because the enhanced games wouldn't be a thing, or it wouldn't be such a big thing if we supported swimmers and other sports that only get the spotlight for once every 4 years. They only get that chance to kind of roll out. And it's a very short period of time, that 3 weeks. The rest of it, they have to earn it outside the water. And that becomes really tricky. And it's just not right. The balance is not right. There's something amiss there politically. I don't know what, and I don't profess to know. But the enhanced games wouldn't be a thing wouldn't be such a big thing if we fixed that problem.
Yeah. Were you able to earn a comfortable living as a swimmer?
Yes and no. The early stages when I really needed it, no. It was just not available. I was scratching around. It was down to my parents or anybody who would help us, gifts in kind, all that sort of thing. I was very lucky to have some great people around and some good sponsors like Northumbria University, Sport Newcastle were incredible, to name a few. And then obviously when you start producing results that turn heads, that's when people want to start throwing stuff at you. So by the time it got to 2005, 6, I was sponsored. I had win bonuses in place. I had kit sponsors. I could get me swimsuits for free. Wasn't having to pay for them. You know, just,
and they're expensive, aren't they?
Very expensive. They don't last forever.
No.
They last a handful of races, really. And you want that edge. You want that winning edge, that competitive edge. So yeah, that becomes the kind of juxtaposition, the kind of the hard and soft of it, really.
Yeah, because it becomes even harder to make it, because, you know, swimming is, like a lot of competitive sports, they're incredibly draining and time consuming and exhausting. Yeah. But then when you've also got to do a full-time job on top of that, that is so much to ask. I
mean, I was getting up at 4:30 most mornings, get the pool for 5, blast up and down for a couple of hours. And then you've got a mixture of physiotherapy, you've got weights to get in, or strength and conditioning to get in for a couple of hours. And then you're back again at 4 o'clock for another 2-hour session. So fitting anything that is worthwhile around that is really challenging. Even having relationships and friendships can be a real challenge. So yeah, I don't miss those days, I'll be honest with you. I miss the days of traveling around the world and, you know, doing my thing, but I don't miss those days.
Yeah, and you've already mentioned California and Australia. Yeah. Where else do you get to go swimming?
Kind of places that might not be on your holiday destination map, you know, like South Korea, you know, went to Seoul, raced there, China a few times, because on the lead up to a games, you'll go out to that place and just get used to the culture. Japan, Africa, just everywhere. You know, by the time I'd finished, I think a tenure trotting around the globe as 60 plus different countries, whether it was training camps or competitions. And I feel really blessed. And I always tell the story that actually swimming, for many people who don't know, a lot of the world championships and European championships, they build the pool. So it's kind of a prefab pool, a bit of a modular pool. And I've swum in the same pool in 4 or 5 different countries.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's bizarre that you will get out and race, and that is the same, pretty much the same pool.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope it was a fast one for you.
It was, yeah, every time.
Because there was always fast pools, wasn't there? Pools.
There's fast pools and slow pools, definitely.
Absolutely. What was your fastest, by the way? Which pool do you think is the fastest?
I'm a massive fan of Sheffield Ponds Forge. I think it's just a phenomenal arena.
I love it there.
Yeah, so many people do.
Yeah.
It's just got something special about it. And I think some people kind of termed it the pool of dreams.
Yes.
And I think we should put our pools on the international map, get out there and draw people in, because we've got some fantastic facilities. We could do with more, but we're just not on the map internationally for it.
No. Do you think it's because of the climate here or the funding? But then is the funding affected by the climate? That most of the time it's cold, it's miserable. Whereas Australia, you could see, let's just go swimming. It's a lovely day. Let's go and and they're all open air pools.
Yeah, it can be. I think historically we're just not known for swimming.
Yeah.
And we need to put ourselves on the map. The wave of swimmers who've come through are really exciting. They're not just fast swimmers. They're really great ambassadors. Duncan Scott, James Guy, just to name a few, that they can speak really well.
Yes.
And they can really represent the sport very well. And I think we just need to build upon what they've brought forward and just keep building upon it, like what Adam Peaty's done as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you've already spoken a little bit about when you retired, you kind of struggled. How did you know it was the right moment to retire?
Good question. I just felt different. I remember being in the Olympic final, last race. That was the one where Michael Phelps picked up his 8th gold medal. We were in the British relay, 2 or 3 lanes away. We finished 6th, broke the British record, did as best we possibly could. I remember just feeling very different. You have a bit of a break afterwards. The Olympics is a chance to kind of, once it's finished, to really collapse things down and just take stock and work out what you're doing. And my head was saying, stay. London's coming up in 4 years' time. Swimming in your home nation is what you really want to do. I don't know about anybody else, but that would be the ultimate for me. I never got to do that. So there was so many things luring me in, but my heart just was saying, it's time to move on. I think I was scared at the time. I can label it now, but at the time I wouldn't have admitted this. I was scared because I didn't know what the future would be like. And if I was really brutally honest, I was frightened to start again. And that's what I was facing.
Yeah. And also, as you've already mentioned, that word identity.
Yeah.
What would your identity be now?
I know, because I was Chris the swimmer.
Yeah.
And I was still being introduced as Chris the swimmer with these Olympic tracksuit on, trotting around swimming clubs and schools and primary schools and all sorts. And then walking out the door going, who am I? Because that's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like Denver Mills, with that 1988 tracksuit on from Little Britain, getting introduced to the crowd and saying inappropriate words that aren't great for the here and now. But I really struggled with it. So I had this almost double life going on, this double life of standing there going, hey, everything's great. Isn't it awesome? Going out the door going, oh my God, what's your awesome? What is my awesome? I don't even know. I've got no gauge. So like I mentioned before, I was in emotional free fall. And it took a lot. It took a lot to get out of that.
Yeah. And you hear it often with, professional athletes, top of their game, they stop.
Yeah.
And it is free fall in so many aspects. Even if you remove the psychological identity out of it, physiologically, your body's got to be a little bit in shock. Why aren't they training 10, 15 times a day again?
Absolutely.
And I think even your physiological response to it affects your psychological more as well.
It does. I remember just driving around Newcastle, because I love Newcastle as a city. I met my wife there. I carved out my Olympic career there. There's so much. There wasn't a moment when I didn't walk into that city and just think I'm somewhere special. There's something I can't quite put my finger on about it. It's the people, the place. And I remember just thinking, I don't want to feel any different about this city. And that's what kind of prompted us to move away.
Okay, right.
That chapter is done now. Let's move on. And actually I've become very good at that now. It's probably one of my superpowers, if I'm honest, knowing when things have run their course.
Yeah.
Swimming was the hardest one, and I definitely cut away, but it took me a long time to cut away from it. I could have done it smoother, slicker, better. I just didn't. Now I'm very good at going, actually that chapter is finished. I'm ready to move on, even if I don't know what I'm moving on to. So we've recently just sold our business and moved on. It was definitely the right decision. And we did that and moved on, and it just feels right. And again, there are things that we don't know what we're doing next, but that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay.
Did you have any support either from whatever the name of the British swimming organisation was at the time for when you did go into retirement?
No, not really.
Okay.
And that was no fault of anyone else's. No. It was just not in place. It was, are you on the national programme or not? Yes or no? No. Okay, then it's been great. Thanks very much. See you around.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. I think it was announced on teletext at the time at the bottom of the screen, kind of fizzled out. But, you know, I don't take myself too seriously. So that side of things I wasn't really worried about.
Yeah.
It was, I wanted a future. I think that's what most humans want. I might be wrong. I think most of us want a future. And when we don't have that, or when there's uncertainty around what that is, I think that causes the anxiety gap between where you are and where could you be in your life.
Yeah. And often, you know, when you're grieving, sometimes you're grieving at the future you thought you had, even though it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So that we're constantly visualizing our future, even not in like a programmed way, you know, just like, this is where I'm going to be, you know, I'm on this trajectory, this is where, you know, where life's taking me. And when it doesn't, it's such a shock.
Absolutely.
Such a setback.
Yeah, so true.
So you've mentioned that someone asking that question about what your 9-year-old self would have said to yourself, you know, at the end of your career. What else got you through that difficult time?
My wife, Erica, she's phenomenal. Like she gives us it straight, but also is really great at reading me, you know, and knowing exactly what I need in any given moment. And sometimes that is tough love. Sometimes that is, come on, we've got to shake out of this. And other times that is just rest, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, and just knowing that, engaging that, having someone there is so important. Like I know now, and I've always known this, to be honest with you, is you can deal with anything in life pretty much if home is great.
Yeah.
And what I mean by home, I don't mean your house. I mean your relationship with you and those close people around you. That's home for me, because I take home on holiday.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
the relationships.
It is.
Yeah.
I take home, even when I go away, I take a piece of home with me in my psyche. When you've got that right, everything else is just a bonus or it's just something to get through.
Yeah.
And even though I was in such a terrible place, I remember walking down Northumberland Street or walking up Northumberland Street in Newcastle. And it was right at the height. This was the worst it ever got. I was walking down the street and I had this almost, I can only describe it as an out of body experience. I was walking down the street. I'd just come back from a meeting where something had kind of fallen through and I was hoping that it would come good for us. And I had nowhere to go, nowhere to be. I had the rest of the afternoon off and I just wanted to be successful again. I just wanted to be something again. And I had this almost out of body experience. And the next thing I knew, I was sat in the car and I didn't know how I'd got there. And I'd probably walked about a quarter of a mile. And then I just burst into tears when I got into the car. And I must have been there easily 2 to 3 hours, just constantly going for it, crying. And then it was like almost like a cliff edge. I was like, right, it's got to change. Something's got to go. Something's got to happen. So there was kind of, like I said before, like an unravelling of the grief as it went. And it would come through in weird stages. You know, I'd be stood at the supermarket and think, oh my God, I need to get back for training. I'm like, no, I haven't trained in 4 years. What is wrong with you? No, I've walked too far today because I had this thing about doing too much outside of the normal training program. And so I'd be like, oh my God, I've walked far too far today. I've ruined my legs. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't trained in years. What am I on about? I've not got a major competition coming up. But I built up 20 years of doing that. It's a long time in your life.
Absolutely. I can even relate to some of those. And obviously my swimming career wasn't by far nowhere near as successful as yours. But yeah, things get stuck in your subliminal memory, don't you?
Yeah.
It's strange. I still have a recurring dream or kind of nightmare where I'm at the blocks, taking off my clothes. My swimming costume's meant to be on underneath for people who don't understand swimming, because you wear your clothes up until you dive in the water, and it's not there. And I take off my clothes. Well, I start to, and I'm like, oh, and I still wake up in like a panic about it.
Yeah, I'm sure every swimmer's had that. I know I've had that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't actually happen. But yeah, it's interesting about what you're saying about having your home, almost your foundation in place. Because obviously if you've got your foundation there, it's something to build from, no matter what you're restarting to build.
Yeah.
It's like when things go wrong at home and that's all crumbled, it's so hard to then rebuild because you're literally digging the foundations.
So true. It always feels like a reset for me.
Yeah.
So I go home tonight at tea time, and obviously we'll cart kids off in different directions, athletics, swimming, do all the stuff. Then when we get in, I just feel like it's a reset, and it never feels any different. Even if we've got loads of stuff going on and, you know, troubles come to a door, it still feels like it's okay. We'll wake up tomorrow and we've got another day to reset. There's
lovely.
a lot to be said for that.
Yes.
There's a lot to be said for it.
And and Erica was also a swimmer.
She was.
So she understands understood at the time what you were going through.
Absolutely.
Did you know Erica went at the time when you were training for the Olympics?
Yes. So we met when we were very young, got together when we got to university. So she was we got together right at the start of my kind of entry into that space, into the international space. So she got to see kind of warts and all, and had a fantastic career herself. So understood it from the inside out. And I think that's been a real saving grace, is just understanding the level of commitment, because it is bonkers when you think about it, the amount of training you do, 60 to 80,000 meters a week just to swim 2 lengths of a pool. It doesn't quite match up and weigh up, but when you're in it, you get why we do it.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a reason, there's a rhyme, there's a method.
Yeah, definitely. And how important is it to have a supportive partner?
Very, very, you know, there's no ego between us, whether it's Erica needs the help and I step in to help, or whether it's the other way around. There's no ego at play there. There's no you're better than me, I'm better than you. It's a real partnership. So when I won, and I often say this on stage when I'm doing my keynotes, you know, I look at the medals that I've won and I see it cut up into tiny slices in my mind's eye, because I only deserve a tiny slither if I'm being really brutal. And I get to be the face of the performance, but actually there's so much happening in the background, so many people pulling strings and levers and all sorts, that actually that's not mine alone. You know, it's a solo sport.
Yes.
It is a solo sport, but actually it's a massive team effort.
Such a team.
So having that person who you come back to, who you can reset and go again, it's just, for me, that's the real win. That's the real win in life, is that I'm with someone who we can go out there and face the world with. You know, that's the real win for me. Oh,
that's so lovely. And you know, so many people don't realize that, and it's so important, you know, having that, you know, supportive partner, and cheering you on in every aspect of life as well.
Absolutely.
Personal isn't just about business. It's about the human stories behind them. We address all aspects of health, from cancer, gastric bands and meningitis to mental health and the menopause. Nothing is off limits on this show. But as these stories often highlight, you can't take your health for granted. I know I don't, and that's why I trust WPA to protect my health. WPA isn't like any other health insurer. It's not for profit and offers award-winning, tailored health insurance solutions to individuals, families, and businesses of all sizes. Among UK health insurers, it consistently tops consumer surveys and Trustpilot ratings, while its members can manage their membership from pre-authorising claims to accessing remote GP services, all on the WPA Health app. Crucially, they help ensure the access to the very best treatment at a time and place that is convenient to you. I speak with Martin Nichols, one of the 90+ dedicated WPA healthcare partners across Britain, who provides advice and ongoing support during your journey with WPA. Contact Martin anytime on 07870 513 653 to discuss your requirements. Martin Nichols, appointed representative of WPA Healthcare Practice plc, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. The healthcare practice is a wholly owned subsidiary of Western Provident Association Limited, WPA. And you mentioned you can reset when there's trouble at your door. You lost your life savings investing in a new business opportunity.
Yeah.
What happened?
So as I was going through that really tricky phase and that transition of coming from swimming into business, I just wanted to be successful again. I was in a bit of a rush. I thought I'd done my research into a business, and I knew this person, and started to build this kind of working partnership and working together. And this opportunity came up to invest in the business that they were in. I thought, you know what, let's just go for it. I did my research. I thought I did everything, crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's. And me and Erica placed all of our life savings into this business. And within days, it wasn't even weeks, within days, we realized that actually the potential of this business was pretty dead in the water, so to speak, for want of a better phrase. And that money had gone. And looking back now, obviously we're in a slightly different position. You know, that money at the time was relative to where we were. Yeah. And it was everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard for us to talk about it at times because it was really raw at the time. And I remember coming back home. This is absolutely classic Erica. Got back home and I was sat on the drive and I thought, I've got to go in and tell Erica there is no business, no money. I don't even know what I'm doing next. I was expecting to start drawing a wage and everything. This wasn't going to happen. Anyway, I went inside. We started discussing it and she was mortified. I was mortified. And then as the dust started to settle, Erica went, okay, right, well, I guess the good news is this decision to do this is going to save us loads of money in the future because we'll never do that again. And I was like, bingo, that's the lesson. It's looking for the opportunity to go, why was this gifted to me? Why was this given to me? Even though it feels like a kick in the pants. Yeah. Actually, there's a reason you're going through it. And that was the moment I stopped smelling of desperation. Okay. That was the moment.
Yeah. It's incredible insight in that moment.
Isn't it?
To say it. Yeah.
Isn't it? And I was just sat there going, yeah, I've got nothing else to say.
So understanding as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and you also mentioned that you were considering at one point aiming for London 2012.
Yeah.
How did it feel watching that Olympics, not being part of it?
Well, I was quite lucky because by the time I started to get over that period, London was coming to town. So we had this, if you remember the Olympic torch relay, that was phenomenal. Yeah. So everything was gearing up and I knew what was about to happen, but I had never experienced a home game. So I knew I'd experienced the games. Now people were asking me, what's the games like? What's it going to be like when London comes to town? So I was filling my boots. I was traveling all over the country. I was doing interviews. I was doing on-stage appearances. I could not get the bookings in quicker. I had 18 months of business. It just took off. Wow. And I got the chance to work with Team GB on one of their internal programs to help the next generation, inspire the next generation who aren't quite at that Olympic level yet to really learn from the games.
Oh, it's lovely.
Really cool.
Yeah.
It's a really cool program and got the chance to work on that. So I had this kind of business was kicking off. Everything was going really well. And I got the chance to go and work at the games for 2 to 3 weeks, wandering around London. What's not to love? So for me, it felt like a real nice full stop. You know, I was involved in the movement, but I wasn't competing. Went to watch some of the swimming, which was just phenomenal. Well, very lucky I got tickets to go everywhere. But on the lead up, I got a phone call from this person at the London organising committee and said, look, would you like to carry the torch? You've been nominated to carry the Olympic torch.
Brilliant.
And I was like, yeah, I would love to. And so we started chatting about it. And she said, well, look, are you prepared to travel quite far? And I said, yeah, I'll travel as far as I need. She said, good, because you're going to have to take a dropout space because all 8,000 people have been pretty much allocated across the 8,000 miles because that was I believe that was the marketing strategy. And she said, would you take a dropout space? I went, yeah, of course I will. That's no problem at all. She went, brilliant. Well, I'll give you a call when something comes up and we'll try to get something as close to you as possible. And anyway, she called me back a couple of days later. She said, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, well, hopefully I'm carrying the torch. She said, yeah, we've got you a space. I was like, brilliant. So we're chatting away and stuff. And she said, look, ordinarily we'd post out all the gear and all the stuff and you'd get it, but you're going to have to collect it on the day. You're going to have to meet this person. I'll give you their mobile, blah, blah, blah. It's just about to put down the phone. And I said, oh, but you haven't even told us where I'm carrying the torch. She went, oh, let me check the list. You're carrying it in South Shields. Do you know it?
Wow.
Carry the torch down the same streets. as a kid. I used to dream of going to the Olympics. And it was just,
special.
oh my God, it was just like that whole year, 2012 was like almost like a loop back, like a circle back to the start.
Yeah.
And it was just a lovely, very, very spiritual, very kind of like,
Yeah. I'm picking up those vibes.
yeah. And that was 20 years on, 24 years on. It's crazy.
Oh, that's a lovely way.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been so different if you were sat at home, kind of feeling bitter that you weren't there at that game.
So
but
true.
yeah, but I believe you created those opportunities that led to kind of that spiritual ending for
I think
you.
believing in the non-physical is something I lost contact with during that time. And that was the year that I started to reconnect and rekindle. I don't know what it is, and I don't profess to label it or anything, but there's something that connects us all, and there's something that connects our dots.
Yes.
I'm just not quite sure what it is, but when you're in flow with it,
Absolutely.
something different happens, and I can't put my finger
Everything's
on
a lot more easy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's almost like a little spark goes out, or something that stops the connections, or a wall goes up. Or yeah, it's hard to explain. But then you set up your swim school, Swim Buddies. Why did you decide to go down that route?
So me and my wife always wanted to set up a learn to swim. You know, I had such a great time. My favourite time in swimming was learn to swim. Saturday morning, 9:15, Temple Park Leisure Centre in South Shields. Loved it. Linda Woodhouse was my teacher. I just lived for a Saturday morning. If I could just get through that week, Monday to Friday, just to get to Saturday morning, that's all I needed to do. Loved it. And I thought, I want to give kids that chance. I'd love to do that. And it sounds like a great opportunity too. So I talked about it for such a long time. And I was at a school down on the South Coast, primary school, and I would do a 30-minute assembly or 25-minute assembly, and I'd leave 5 to 10 minutes of questions and answers. If the children were a bit restless, we'd get them out a bit sooner. But most of the time, they were like eager to ask questions, like, is the medal real and stuff like that. And anyway, so I'd thrown out the questions and answers. There's a little boy about 4 rows in, quite young as well. Must have been year 4, year 3, something like that. Put his hand up, and he said, I just talked about dreams and goals, and he put his hand up. He said, what's your dream now, Chris? I went, oh, good question. I said, well, I'm going to set up a learn to swim business. And he puts his hand straight as I'm talking. I was like, he's got another question. I went, yeah, got another question. He went, have you started it? I went, I haven't actually started it. Hand goes up again. I'm like, who is this kid? Like, he's got me on the hook. He went, why haven't you started it? And it went silent in the room. Bearing in mind, I'd just been talking to them about being courageous, follow your dreams, all this sort of stuff. And there I was going, oh my God, what a fraud. So it had this moment of honesty. All the teachers were like leaning in, looking. One of them was almost getting the popcorn out, like, oh, this is awesome. Got Chris on the ropes. And I went, do you know what? I'm scared. I'm scared it'll fail. And he put his hand up. This time it went up really slowly. And he went, do adults get scared as well? And I went, yeah, sometimes. And I could see the teachers nodding. It was a lovely little interaction. Anyway, I remember driving home that evening after doing 2 or 3 schools after that. And I called Eric. I went, it's on. I went, let's just do it. By the time I'd got home, she'd bought the domain name. She'd got a website started to be built by a website and a designer that she knew. She already had this in the pipe. She was just waiting for me to press go. And we just pressed go and it just took off. Absolutely took off. It's been an amazing ride.
And again, that's something you did with Erica. What were the working dynamics like?
Really great. I mean, Erica is quite if you know anything about personality types, she's a red character. She's very much like, why are we here? What we're doing it for? Let's get action. You know, don't just talk about it, what we're doing. Yeah. I need that. Because sometimes I can stay in the kind of, let's sit around the campfire and do kumbaya. You know, like, I can do that really well, like the hearts and minds stuff. Yeah. But actually putting action into play, I need people like that around me to go, hang on a second, you said this. Why hasn't that been done? Okay, I'm too busy faffing around. Yeah. So we work really well together. We're kind of 2 opposite ends of the same scale, really. And I think that can be really powerful when you get the communication right. Oh yeah, communication is everything. Totally. But how did you balance kind of work life and personal life? We didn't. For us, there was no difference. It was just life. Yeah. It's just about balance. When the balance is off, you address it. When the balance is right, enjoy it. And that's it. It's really simple, but that's what we did. Something wasn't right, talk about it. get rid of the thing that's wrong, or at least acknowledge it and shine a torch on it and move on.
Yeah. And in some ways you're both in it together. So that's an advantage that you both understand that it is. Sometimes when you do have your own business, it does take over everything.
It does. You know, we'd often, like, if the kids were down asleep in the back of the car, you know, traveling to somewhere, we go, do you want to do business talk? And we'd just talk business. Then when the kids wake up, we'd be singing songs and doing the usual parent stuff.
Kumbaya.
Yeah, all of that, which I'm great at. And we would, that's how we would do it. So we weren't in a formal office or anything like that. It was just around the kitchen table. But, you know, by the time we sold the business, we had over 1,000 children in the academy. You know, it's nothing to be sniffed at. And over that time, we taught I'm seeing kids now winning medals at regional, national level who are so walking the door, crying their eyes out at the age of 3 and 4, which is lovely to see.
It feels so good.
Yeah, it does feel really special to kind of pass that over. And I know they had a great experience doing it.
Such a big thing learning to swim as well. I mean, it's something I just took for granted, you know, you go to your lessons, but the safety aspect of it. It's the one thing with my girls, any club, as long as they commit to a certain period, they see it out, and then if they say, I don't want to do it anymore, I'm like, fine. But with swimming, I'm like, no, you have to. So you have to be safe. If you fell in that water, you need to be able to know how to swim to the other end, get out.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, the thing I love most about swimming is no one can do it for you.
Yeah.
There's so many things in life our parents can, like, almost swoop in and helicopter parent, you know, help you out with the question to an answer, or whatever, answer to a question, or whatever. Swimming is such a solo thing that actually you have to do it.
Yes.
There's not many things in life where it actually, and as well, how many things in life where you naturally breathe, you're now having to learn to breathe again.
Yeah, it's really true.
It's quite a big thing, that, especially for a 4-year-old. You've never been taught to breathe. Now you're having to learn to breathe.
That's so true.
And learn to control that breathing, not hold your breath, all those sorts of things. Anyway, I could geek out on it. But it's like for me, swimming is such a powerful confidence builder for children. I mean, you do it so young and you get them involved and you stick at it. You've got to stick at it. They will have the wobbles. They will have those moments. Got to stick at it. It's a thing you can put in your back pocket and keep forever. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good for fitness. I know there's a lot of things for fitness, but swimming really is, because again, you're thinking about your breathing. I read an article the other day, and I don't know whether it's true, but it's talking about how swimming boosts your intelligence levels as well. Because it talks about the repetitive movement. So while you're doing that, your brain goes off and wanders around other things. I'll try and dig it out for you, because I shared it with my family.
Ooh, I might need more of that.
Just to reinforce it with myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I've probably done that article in Injustice the way I described it. But
Cool.
Something about the neuroplasticity of your brain. I'm going to believe it.
Why not?
And how did you know when you were ready? You've talked about a feeling of just knowing you were ready to move on, ready to sell the business. Were there any kind of other signs other than your gut instinct?
Yeah, just little things like we weren't enjoying it as much.
Okay.
We were really passionate about it, but passion and enjoyment can be two different things.
Yeah.
We were still passionate about it, but we just weren't particularly enjoying it as much.
Yeah.
Plus we'd set out to achieve something. We felt like we'd achieved it. It had given us a great standard of living. We'd learned how to grow a business. We learned how to go through an acquisition and sell a business. It's not easy, 2 years of doing that. And we learned a lot along the way, and we're really grateful for it. And for us, it was like an achievement that we both shared. We had very different roles in the business. I was very hands-on, very in the business. Erica was as well, but very strategic as well, and very kind of visionary, and bringing that kind of where we go and steering the ship and the people in it. And we made loads of mistakes along the way. It wasn't perfect, but for us, it was a real kind of shared achievement. We feel really good about it now when we look back. And
so you should. It's a massive deal, isn't it? Setting up a business.
Yeah, it is.
Then again, selling a business, that's a big deal as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's been an experience.
What's next for you?
Do you know what? We're really enjoying where we are. I'm a non-executive director of, on a non-for-profit fostering agency, Team Fostering. I love it. Absolutely love the people I get to work with. I'm a coach. I spend a lot of my time doing coaching. I work for so many different cool people who I would never get the chance to bump into in normal life, you know, from around the world as well. I never thought I'd hear myself say that, you know. I thought I'd work locally and get the chance to do that. And I'm just really enjoying where I'm at the moment, and Erica is too. So we're just taking a little bit of time to kind of just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And often these things come to us.
Yes.
So there's no real kind of set direction for us at the moment.
Staying open to opportunities.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. We've talked about kind of the medal you felt most proud of, but what's your proudest moment overall in life?
Good question. In life, there's moments I get when, this is going to sound really small, but for me it's really big, is when it often comes through me kids, when they'll say something or do something. I remember one of my kids gave someone a medal because they'd done something, they'd swam their leg of the relay for them, and they'd handed over the medal, and it was just like, I have little moments like that where I'm like, wow, they did that. And I feel part of that, even just a small part of it. It was their decision to do it, and they did that. It was really kind. And then just random moments when the kids say, I love you, that, get out of the car, and most of the time they're grumping about and stuff. But, you get those moments and say, I love you. So mine aren't like really big moments where I had a windfall or anything. Mine are like those little moments when you're walking down the street is at 4 and someone says something funny and you're like, oh my God, they're a right character. It's usually with my family.
Yeah, little pockets of joy.
Yeah, they're my proudest achievements.
Absolutely.
Proudest moments.
Yeah. And how do you feel, because your son is a swimmer, is your daughter a runner?
Yeah, she is, yeah.
How are you feeling kind of reliving, are you reliving your career through them, or have you got...
At all.
No?
Not at all. I'm just dad. What do I know? And I play that role as best as I can. We've got a couple of rules, I don't give any feedback at all, either of them.
Okay, that must be hard to do.
If they ask, I'll give it.
Yeah.
They've asked like twice in like 3 or 4 years, which is great. I get to play dad.
Like what they heard.
Yeah, exactly. But I said to them, look, I will only ask you, have you enjoyed your session? And did you thank your coach? Because for me, they're the two things. I want other adults to hold them accountable. I want other adults to say the same things I say to them. Like commitment, dedication, perseverance, all those things. I want them to learn it from other people, not just me. I can do that, but other coaches, mentors, and teachers are so powerful in a young person's life. More powerful than I think we give it credit. I could talk about the same thing. My daughter could go and hear it from a coach and go, oh my God, you'll never guess what such and such has just said. Every parent can say that, can't they?
Yeah. So
really the message there is like, we've got to put them in front of adults who hold them accountable and who can really get that message across and ingrain it and embed it. And I'm starting to see that in both of them now. And it's just, it really is. Yeah. It really is. So we've got a couple of rules, and especially with my son in swimming, he is the son of an Olympian who was a swimmer. So there's a direct link. So when he swims well, people go, wow, you swam well because of your dad. When he swims not so well, people go, oh God, that's shocking considering your dad used to swim.
Yeah, it's hard.
So he's trapped. So now he's got this great line that he uses, and he come up with it. He said, oh, I just say to people, yeah, my dad doesn't do me push-ups for us, which I love. I love this kind of stuff. People are like, because it's him who's done it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's done it. No one else.
Yeah, that does add a certain pressure to him, doesn't
Totally.
it?
But he's bossing it, and so is Charlie, my daughter. They're just, they must hear it in earshot all the time. And they never hold it against me, which I love.
That is nice.
Never hold it against me. It's always this kind of outside thing that doesn't have an inside influence.
Yeah, that's really lovely.
Yeah, isn't it?
And I know you look to other people to instill values in them, but there must be some values that you would like to shine through in them.
Absolutely.
What would they be?
Just kindness to themselves. I remember working with a coaching client years ago, and we were just coaching. I was asking me questions and stuff like that, and I was just in the back of my mind, I was thinking to myself, this person just needs to give themselves a break. But I didn't want to say that. I wanted them to get there. Anyway, gets towards the end of the conversation, and she asked me, she said, what do you think of the way I've approached this? And I just said, well, I mean, you could have been kinder. And she took that as she wasn't kind to other people.
Oh, right.
And she went, excuse me. And went like, really? And I was through the screen. I was so grateful. It was like on Zoom. And she went in this 5-minute rant. And at the end of it, I went, oh, I didn't mean kindness to other people. I meant it to yourself. And she went, oh no, you're right, I'm awful to myself. It's amazing.
Wow.
So she's got this real high standard of being kind to other people, but awful to herself. And that's what I felt from her.
It's very common though.
Very common.
I mean, I've been guilty of that over the years as well.
Me too. And that's the one thing that I would want my kids to go away with is, look, put yourself under just enough pressure that you feel you need to put yourself under, but not so much that it starts to dismantle everything good in your life.
Yeah.
That's just not worth it.
Absolutely. There has to be that sense of self-love as well.
Yeah, totally.
This is why I love my just turned 4-year-old, because she just has that.
Yeah.
Naturally, you know how you see some kids with that real inner belief and inner love for themselves?
Yeah.
She'll walk around, she's like, I love myself. And I'm like, brilliant, you know? And, you know, I did catch myself kind of laughing. I'm like, why am I laughing? That's brilliant. You know, you don't want to laugh and kind of like, and I know it's a funny story to tell. But yeah.
It's lovely though.
It's so nice. Yeah. And she's just like, doesn't my hair look great today? And I'm like, please don't ever lose this. Because, you know, society and culture, it can knock it out of people.
Who do you think you are? And all that.
Exactly. So hopefully she keeps it, and hopefully my eldest daughter can learn more of that. But what do you think is the hardest part about parenting?
Not the rescue, you know, jumping in and rescuing.
Okay.
I think that's my natural urge. I want to take the pain away, whatever it is. I want to take the pain away. And actually, I think sometimes when you try and take the pain away, you stop the lesson. And I'm a massive believer that if you don't learn the lesson then, it just rolls over. Just like the lottery, it just rolls over. And it gets bigger, or it presents itself in a way where it goes, you are going to learn this lesson.
Absolutely,
It's going to happen. And I pause in those moments and I think, okay, is this my lesson? And my lesson is to be quiet and shut up and just listen. Their lesson is to go through this. And that's really hard, especially when girls get to a certain age, teenage years, when the drama at school, you know, girl drama at school is a real thing. That can become a real challenge. So just stepping back and stepping in where absolutely necessary. There's a natural rescuer in me. I just want to stop the pain, whoever it is. So for me, that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah, it's so hard to do because you just want to protect them, don't you? You don't, but it is protecting them in the long run.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's certain lessons you can only learn the hard way.
Yeah. It's true. That's so true. And even my kids have said that. Both Charlie and Casey have said that, you know, excuse me. Can't believe I just burped on the podcast.
On the mic. Brilliant.
Got that up. Thank you.
We'll send it to
keep it in. Keep it in.
We'll keep it in there. Brilliant. We've never had that before. I love it.
Brilliant. It's always a first. So where was I? Yeah, so Casey and Charlie have said that before to me, you know, said, I feel so grateful for what I've gone through. I'm like, oh my God, if that's their approach to reflection, there is a God, you know, that it's getting through the other end of something and going, I see the lesson now and I'm grateful for the experience.
Yeah.
You know, it was like going back to those plowing our life savings into that business.
Yeah.
Really the life lesson was slow down, stop trying to rush this. You will be successful. You could take your time. Doing it this way is not the right way. Learn the lesson now. Otherwise, it's going to be a painful reminder soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really wise of your children to say that, but I think I'm not surprised because you and Erica seem very wise as parents. Do you think that's come from almost lessons you've learned over the years yourself, or have you done lots of extra reading? Have you just got a really good memory for remembering anything like what was said at Cub Scouts?
I think it's just like, for me, we're two sides of the same coin. We look at life very differently and face very different ways in our thinking. But actually we come from exactly the same place with wanting the same things. And I think that's very powerful.
Yes.
And then when we start to share that, we realize right at the very core, there's an inner belief and almost a knowing in the lessons that we're learning in that moment. But I'm always a massive advocate of reading, listening to good podcasts. I don't watch the news. I know plenty of people might be thinking that's quite ignorant. I just feel misinformed, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know what's real and what's not. So for me, I choose my reality. I choose my little patch of the world. I look after my little patch of the world the best possible way I can. And I pull things into that little patch of the world that I need in any given moment. And that comes from podcasts, reading anything, sometimes it's my own ideas and I think, oh, I'm going to build upon that. I'm going to go speak to that person, see what they think, and I embellish it. And I work with people who are the same. I go looking for people who are the same as me.
Yeah.
And I get the chance to work alongside someone, they're always someone who I admire, respect, love their vibe. You know, there's something about them I gravitate towards, and they're often a way better version of what I'm presenting as, because I just want to learn more. I don't think I'm anywhere near close to as successful as I can be and want to be.
I think when you think that, it's kind of like game over, isn't it? Because there's
maybe
always
so.
learning.
Yeah, maybe so.
Always learning no matter what. What's your overall philosophy on life?
Do you know, there's a lovely, lovely quote that I've known for years now, and I think it trumps every other quote, but that's just a personal opinion. The quote goes, "We're all just walking each other home." And why it resonates with me so deeply is because I believe every single person you meet in life, every situation in life is helping you access the next level. And it may just be for a split second. It might be that person that you meet, I don't know, who serves you at a shop and changes your day through one word. Whatever it is, it could be that person who's in your life who teaches you a real life lesson on how heartache feels, or whatever it is. There is a reason that person has been there. I don't think it's an accident. Don't think it's an accident. I've spent such a long time trying to work out what that is, but I don't think we need to. I don't know how electricity works yet. I can use the light switch.
Yes, yeah.
I can go switch the lights on or off, or I can plug my laptop in and charge my laptop. I know how to use that. I don't know how it works. It's the same sort of thing. We can get obsessed with how something works, or we can tap into its benefits.
Yeah.
Which are, in any given moment, you can ask yourself, what am I here to learn? What's this person here to teach me?
Absolutely.
Honestly, it's so refreshing, and it gets you off the hook, and it makes you curious.
Yeah.
I think that curious nature, I think that kind of answers the question for me. Is both myself and Eric are quite curious people. We're curious about, oh, wow, I wonder what this has come round for. I wonder what we're here to learn. I don't think I'll ever change, and I think that's what drives me to never retire. I could see me never retire. I'm just not the type of person to retire.
It's really lovely.
I love what I do.
I love that. We're all just walking each other home. So nice.
Favorite.
Really beautiful. And final question is kind of, what's your secret to a happy relationship? Because you've clearly got that with Erica, and it's clearly been, you've helped each other through ups and downs of life, as there always are.
Yeah.
What would you say that is?
So when we got married in 2009, my sports psychologist called Simon Hartley, his wife is called Caroline. And on our wedding day, we had a picture of us as you walked in the door, and we left quite a bit of space on the outside, sort of the border, for people to write their own messages.
Oh, nice.
They come and write some messages, some gorgeous ones. And someone wrote a poem on there. We've got it in the house, and it's fading now, sadly. So we're going to have to do something about it and get it. But it's still really nice, and I read the messages quite often. And she put a quote on that, and I remind her of it every time I see her, that is, I believe, is the foundation, the philosophy of a really strong relationship. She said, don't forget to be each other's best friends. And I think it's the friendship, you know what I mean? It's that comes first. It's that mutual respect of human to human. We've always lived by it, you know. So we will sort our problems out, whatever they may come, whether they come from the outside or the inside. And I think that is, for me, that one quote, that kind of, I love quotes, as you can tell.
Yes.
I do. They kind of ground me back into the simplicity of, yeah, that's why I'm here. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Just remind me again. I need reminding a lot. So I get lost at times.
Yeah, it's a nice way to end, because we kind of opened up on that first question about those powerful words that Ian Oliver sent you. And then, you know, we've ended back on there and just the power of words and how they impact your mind and then ultimately your actions and what you can achieve in life.
So true. So true.
Brilliant. Right. But you're not quite done yet. You've got the regular questions. So it's on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. You rate yourself at the following things.
Got you.
It's about what you think of you. No one else. Okay. So number 1, how good looking would you say you are?
Oh, 5 or 6.
How funny would you say you are?
About a 7.
Okay. How good at cooking are you?
About a 3.
How good at singing?
1.
Alcohol?
0.
Parenting?
I think I'm good. 8.
Brilliant. How good a friend are you?
7. Could be better.
How intelligent are you?
About a 7.
Okay. How kind are you?
10.
Oh, lovely. And finally, how good at sex are you?
9. There's always room for improvement, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Thanks. You've been amazing, Chris.
Oh, thank you.